Hello, my name is Ogechi Ogubi, Deputy Director, Prawa, Nigeria. The pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, came with a lot of challenges and nations were taking unawares. As a result, there were different responses from different nations, but I think most nations were united in using the justice system to respond to these practically health issues. What it meant is that countries like mine, Nigeria, had to make regulations and laws to help curb the spread of the disease. The implication of this is that some people were disproportionately affected by these laws because the laws limited the movement of people, and there are so many persons within the country who earn their daily bread by going out every day to do menial jobs, to do petty trading and things like that. So it was a big challenge because they were placed between being killed by the pandemic or being killed by hunger. So the people were hell-bent on going out to search for their daily bread. What this meant was a lot of persons were going against the laws. But the challenge was that the response that came from in terms of enforcement came with a lot of human rights abuse. And this was not only from the police. When you talk about police within the Nigerian context, it meant all the institutions that were involved in the enforcement of the COVID-19 regulations. And most of these states within the country made their own laws and equally formed like a joint task force to engage in ensuring that the laws were implemented and enforced. So what we found was a lot of human rights abuse. There was equally gender-based violence, within the period. There was extrajudicial killing, a lot of extortion, torture, and exploitation of especially the poor within the society. The major concern, again, was the fact that the government could not provide palliatives to the people. These persons that were not able, some that never had even a kobo in their account before the pandemic and the lockdown of the cities, nobody provided for them. A very few were provided for. So it was a lot of human rights crisis arose, as a result of this. And this is in spite of all the support provided by especially civil society organizations. Most of the things that we began to see in terms of policing within the period and the enforcement of the laws were predicted, were anticipated, and a lot of write-ups were made, in this respect. Like my organization, Prawa, wrote a brief on that, alerting the government on the need to ensure that there is no human rights crisis arising from the implementation of the laws that were made. But this yet, happened. So what are the, lessons learned in this process? The basic lesson is that in spite of the human rights training, that these security institutions are engaged with, we find out that when it comes to a period like this, that those that are sent out to go for the actual implementation of laws are not these persons that have received these trainings. And going forward, the recommendation should be that in this type of engagement with the civil society, efforts should be made that those that must lead on this are those that know the human rights principles and standards that are required in the engagement with the citizens. And again, the government itself should be careful, in terms of making laws, so that laws do not affect some groups, more than it does to others, and do the needful in terms of providing social security to the people. We thank you.